Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Parkhill at the College of St. Mary's. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I think, having attended Catholic high school and the Catholic University of America, I think it's a battle for who has more, the colleges with St. Mary's in the name or Trinity in the name. I don't know. It's
Right.
probably
Correct.
a tough battle
There's
at this point.
there's there's so many St. Mary's out there. There's literally one 2 hours from us that's University of St. Mary.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
and at Catholic University, I played against St. Mary's College in Maryland. So, and then there's Mount St. Mary's in Maryland as well. So it's
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But you are the College of St. Mary in Nebraska. So
yes.
that way we're going to make sure everybody understands that. NAI women's program. So excited to have you. I actually did speak to your predecessor, I think about 2.5 years ago. So it'd be good to hear what's going on there. So we're talking beginning of July. You've been there a full season and an off season. Kind of what was your recruiting kind of timeline this past year for this class of 25? When did you lock that in? How far are you with 26s at the July 2nd date?
We started around August because we were still trying to finalize our 24s around June, July. So we really started around August, really getting a list about who our 25s were. And then season hit, so it kind of recruiting kind of takes a back seat to preseason and kind of that really that start of the season. And then we started getting kids on campus around late September, October. But then it really, really took off November, December. Did a lot of events throughout the winter. We had most of our class wrapped up around late February, early March, which really helps because then we were able to get a jump on our 26s and start getting a list of there. And so um, like we have a really good list of 26s now that we're starting to, focus in on and try to get them visits on campus for the fall and really jumping ahead of where we were last year, which is really good.
Okay. Well, you said you went to a lot of events. Kind of what are the events that are on your calendar that you're trying to get to each year?
So we go to different showcases in Kansas City, and then we try to hit up one of the local clubs here in Omaha. Gretna Elite Academy hosts a really good one. And then we try to get to all the different little clubs around here that might have one or try to get to a training session. This next year, I think we're gonna be more intentional about where we go. We've gone to Minnesota in the past. We've gone to Real Cup in Colorado. We've gotten a few from there. We're gonna try to go to more East NL events throughout the year, especially if they're within driving distance of us. We do a team camp with Black Hills State and Spearfish, former coaching friend of mine. So it's good to get up there because then we get to see some Wyoming kids, some South Dakota kids that we don't normally see. Um, so kind of all over. And then we just use our online databases a lot. So NCSA, field level, sports recruits is kind of the biggest things that we kind of use to get kids to see that are looking at us and interested in and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Well, what about ID camps? Do you guys do any? Do your staff work any external camps? Are they part of your recruiting process?
Yeah, we do. I mean, again, we do the Black Hills camp. We'll do, um, again, we do the combine out in Colorado for Real Cup. We're hosting one. This will be our first one since I've been here. This in July 19th. We're really excited about the numbers that we have so far with that, especially being a small NAI all women's college. The numbers that we have for it are pretty good. So we're really looking forward to that. We have a lot of 26s coming to it. We have some 27s and some 29s and a few 28s to kind of get them in our database, which is huge for us. A lot of local girls, but we're also trying to expand where we go. We're going to try to go to California this next year. Um, my assistant coach is actually an ODP regional ODP coach, so he goes to Florida, he goes to Rockford, and so kind of be able to get out in the Midwest and kind of get to the coast is what our hopes are.
Okay, awesome. Well, whether it's a camp, a training session, a tournament, wherever you're finding players, kind of what makes up that hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, both on and off the field.
Oh, one of our biggest things, and I took this from my last stop that I was at Iowa Western, was that we recruit no jerks. We're big on the culture building. Like we can teach you the soccer and how we want to play, but how you are with your teammates, with the coaches, how you are on the field while you're playing, your personality, I think is the biggest emphasis. And then we're always looking at if they can do something better than someone on the field, you know. So if we're looking at a winger, we're looking at somebody that likes to take someone on 1v1. If we're looking at midfielders, we're looking at somebody that can control the game and be a positive. Do they maintain possession? Do they swing the play? Do they and then defenders, can they control the tempo and the and everything? Um, Goalkeepers, are they good with their feet? Are they good shot stopping? Do they command their back line? Um, and are they a presence? So there's different things that we're looking at through different players, but overall, we're looking at how they are with their teammates and their coaches, and how they interact with people.
Okay. Well, when you are going through all this recruiting and looking at your numbers each year, kind of what is that roster size you're looking at, especially because it looks like you guys also have a developmental side as well.
Yeah, we do have a roster goal that we're supposed to be hitting every single year, which some coaches, if they see that, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to ever be that high." But for us, uh, we look at it just creating more competition within our side. So we have for this fall, for instance, we have a full 18 game schedule, and then for our reserve side, we have a 14 game schedule. So, which is huge because not everybody, if they go to the large roster, aren't going to have 14 games to play on a reserve side. Um, and so we make sure that we go out because, like, if I'm going to recruit you, I'm going to make sure that you are playing. You're not just going to come here to train. Like my goal is that I'm going to, if you're not playing your freshman year, you're going to, our job is to build you up for your sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so when we do that, we, we're making sure that we tell them that there's an opportunity to play, and then we show that there's actually people that have gone from our reserve side and played meaningful minutes in our first team. So, for example, we had a kid that came in as a left back or an outside back, and where I was like, I need somebody to go up top. So I put her. She's like, I'll do it, and so she goes up top, scores a hat trick in that game, and I was like, okay. Next reserve match or next first team match, we throw her in at striker and she scores a goal. And then she goes on and scores 5 goals in 6 games for us in the first team. And so it's like, okay, so she took her opportunity and she took it. And you know, I it's not just for me to just say you're on reserve and that's where you're gonna stay. Like it's fluid week to week, and we also try to it's not just I send my assistant coaches to go coach the reserve team. I'm usually the one that's traveling with them because at the end of the day, I'm the one that's telling them, you're on the first team, you're on the reserve team. This is our travel roster. And I think that's huge because you don't see a lot of that with head coaches going to the reserve side and being the one that's actually coaching them and I think that's for me, like that's how we get a lot of these girls because they know that there's an opportunity for them to move up through our team, and I want them to know that you're also a very important part of this team and you need to be seen, and that's why I'm the one that's taking them to the reserve squad or reserve games because at the end of the day I'm the one making the decision. So that's big for us.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. You've been there a year now. Kind of what are some of the things that drew you to the program? Some of the things in that first year you found that are awesome about the school that maybe we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, so I went to Morningside University in the GPAC. So like I knew College of St. Mary's from my playing days. And when I got into college coaching, my now assistant Ed Meitzen, we were at a different college together and like, hey, if we ever got a job together, where would we want it to be? And it was actually we were both in the Omaha area, and it was like it would be College of St. Mary's because being an all-girls school, we don't have to share the field with anybody. It's ours, which is amazing because we get priority time whenever we want. We don't have to wait for football. We don't have to wait for our men's team. We don't have to wait for lacrosse. We essentially get whatever time we want on our field, which is huge. Um, it's right in the downtown, right in the middle of Omaha. We got an amazing shopping center right next to us for with Exarban, where it has food, cinema, shopping, anything that kids would want. Um, and then they're really big into the health sciences. So nursing is probably our biggest major that we have. But then we also have our teaching degrees. We have business, but to be able to draw nurses that want to still continue playing soccer and continue doing it for the 4 years, because there's a lot of the times where you have your nurses that can only play about 3 years just because that fourth year is very, very heavy. Our nursing program does a very, very good job of working with athletes to make sure that they're able to play all 4 years. Um, so yeah, just being an all-girls school, I think, is also unique because I think the biggest thing is the only thing that we don't have is that there's not boys in the dorms, but we have UNO and Creighton uh, within the city that if they really want to go uh, be with some boys, they can. But everyone's there for the same purpose in terms of getting their degree, playing sports, or and just it's a really unique community, and we're really on the up. We're on the up. We got a new AD that's changing. We got a lot of new coaches that are in. So I'm really excited about where we're going with CSM, um, and it's getting better, and we're starting to make some noise within the GPAC. For instance, our track and field, they just had an amazing year. Volleyball is usually a national contender. I mean, from myself, I have very high expectations and lofty goals for this program, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So I'm here for the long haul, and I want to make this and somebody that the GPAC has to watch out for, and compete with the Hastings and the Concordias every year in and year out.
Okay, awesome. Well, one of the toughest parts about making the transition to being a student athlete at the college level is balancing the demands of being the athlete and the student. What support systems are in place there at the school to help your players be successful both on and off the field?
So for us, specifically our program, we have study hall hours that all freshmen are required to have, just to help with that balance between the schoolwork and just that transition being away from home, to make sure that they're actually doing their work and staying on top of it. Because myself being a student athlete, my first freshman year, it was awful. I didn't have the support system, so I wanted to make sure that uh, our kids do. And especially coming from a teaching background, that I was a teacher for 6 years, so education is a very big part for it. And we also want to be successful on and off the field. So being those study hall hours, and so they, depending on their GPA, they can get out of that spring semester, but then it's kind of a tiered system, depending. So they could be on it for all 4 years, they can be on for one semester, or they can be off of it, depending on how well they do, and they can always be put back on throughout the semester. And then we have our student success that are more worried about how they're doing outside of classes and outside of sports, just how they're doing as a whole person with that mental health, which I think is huge. Um, I think with me, I'm always their check-in point, just seeing how they're doing those meetings, those individual meetings that we have throughout the year. And then being a small college, kind of our class sizes. Our largest class size that you'll probably be in is about 15 kids, maybe 20. And then as you kind of get into your major, you're getting 10 and lower, which I think is big because then you kind of have that personal relationship with the professors and they know who you are, they know what you're doing. And then they know if you're missing or if you have missed consecutive days, they'll reach out to the coaches, they'll reach out to their student success to be like, hey, I haven't seen this person in a while, or they'll reach out to you personally, which I think is huge because, if you go to a bigger university, you're sometimes just a number and they don't really care if you show up or not. So the fact that our professors you can have that personal relationship with the professors and they care about you. Uh, so I think that's huge for us being a small institution.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's rewind or fast forward your choice to the fall, October, heart of that conference season. Kind of walk me through what does a typical week look like for a player in terms of when our classes, practices, meals, game cadence, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so for us, we will train 3 to 5 this fall. And I think that the big thing about that is the consistency of it. We don't move practice around at all. We don't train 7 p.m. one day, we don't train at noon the other day. We try to stay at 3 to 5 every single day. That way it helps them with the consistency. They know when we're gonna train every single day and kind of get our bodies ready for when we play. Um, so a typical day, Mondays, during season, Monday will actually be reserved game days. And so first team will have those days off. They will lift at 7 o'clock in the morning. Um, and then they'll go to class between 8 to 3 o'clock. Um, and then depending if we have to travel or not, we'll probably leave. Probably it depends on how far it is. I think our furthest reserve game is 3 hours away, so we'll be leaving somewhere in the afternoon or 11 noon to get to those games. And then reserve will have that day off. And then Tuesday, we're game prepping for our Wednesday match. That will be conference. So we'll train 3 to 5. We'll do a film session after that. Um, and then Wednesday's game day, depending if it's away, we'll leave sometime in the morning, go get something to eat, have the game, be back that day. We tend to do day trips because our furthest trip is about 4 hours, and so we want to save it within the budget so that we can get the fun stuff and the gear and the different other outings that we do throughout the year. And if it's a game day, they're dismissed at like 12:30 from class so that they can get something to eat in the locker room by 1:30, and then out for warm-ups by around 2:30 so they can be ready for a 3 o'clock start. And then Thursday, more of a recovery day. They'll have weights again at 7 a.m. And then classes, and then we'll go more recovery for the session. Still get something that if we saw something in the game that we need to fix or work on for that weekend, we will. And then Friday, train classes, train 3 to 5, and then game days on Saturday. If it's this year, if it's home, we'll be playing at 1 o'clock, so it'll be just a little bit slighter earlier time. And then if it's away, most of them were 5, 6 o'clock at night. So we'll leave some time to get out there. But one of our biggest things that we're going to be doing this year is really focusing on that recovery portion of it. So make sure that we're staying healthy and fresh throughout the season. So when we're in the thick of it in October, we really want to be hitting that stride and kind of on that uphill climb towards the end, towards postseason. So really focus on recovery and just fixing those tiny little things that we need throughout the year or throughout the season. Kind of work on our set pieces, work on our defensive shape, and things that we think will be critical when it comes to postseason time in November.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. You mentioned your assistant. So what other staff do you have that help out with the team? What other maybe support staff are there in the athletic department that maybe you haven't mentioned, and what's everybody's role there?
Yeah, so I have two assistant coaches, Ed Meitzen. This is actually our third stop together. We were at Nebraska Christian College back in 2019 together. And then we were at Iowa Western Community College together in 22 when we won our first national title there. And then he decided to leave, and then we won another one. So maybe it wasn't totally up to him. And then I got this job in 23, so I knew he was looking and I needed a goalkeeping coach. So um, asked him if he wanted to join us, and he's been with us since last September. He's also our recruit coordinator. He's essentially the initial stop for all recruits. Like he has the initial call with them. And then I'm the one that once they get on campus, I'm the seller. So it's kind of how it goes there. And then we have Eliani Para, who is our other assistant. Um, she she's a DOC at a local club here in Omaha that helps us be able to get some players through. And with her being a former college athlete, and she did it at Bellevue University, so she understands where these girls are at, is huge for us. And then so having those two has really helped be able to bounce ideas. Ed really works more with the defense and the goalkeepers. Ellie's more midfield, and I work with the forwards and attackers. And so we kind of all have our areas of expertise, and it brings a really good cohesion to our staff. And then we have two athletic trainers that work with our program, make sure that we're healthy, uh, keep me in line, make sure that I'm doing what I need to do. And really looking forward to working with them more. Really working on getting recovery tools for this fall with them. Then our athletic director, he's really supportive of us. He's going into his third year this fall. And he's just, I think he's still trying to learn soccer and why we do ties. And I try to explain to him, and he's still he's a basketball guy, so he's just like, oh, I hate ties. But he's really supportive of what we do. And anything I ask, he makes sure that it gets done. And so it's a really good supportive athletic department here. And my staff and I are really excited about what we have this fall. So
Yeah, my AD was a basketball coach too, so I get it. I'm right there with you. He didn't understand why uh players didn't have stats,
yeah.
So yeah. Uh, well, what about you? Talk to us about your coaching style and the style of play you're looking to play there.
So for me, um, this is my first head coaching gig in the college game. Like I said, I was a teacher for 6 years. I coached high school boys for 10 years until I got this gig, and then I gave that one up. This is my third collegiate stop. I was an associate head coach at Nebraska Christian College in Papillion. And then we closed our doors due to uh, right when COVID hit, we closed our doors forever, which that was kind of the biggest what if of my career because we had a really, really good recruiting class coming in, and we were really excited about what we were going to be for that fall. And then I got told the news, and those were the hardest calls to make to those recruits, was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have a home for you anymore if you need help finding a place. Um, and then I was the assistant coach at Iowa Western Community College in Council Bluffs on the women's side for 3 years. Made national tournament our first year, bowed out in group play, losing 1-0 to both Butler and Salt Lake, and then came back with a vengeance, and we won back-to-back national titles in 22 and 23. So I, taken a lot of stuff from that because the coach there, Adam Sanchez, was a mentor. And so he, looking back, like and again, I've stolen a lot of stuff from him, but he essentially was able to put how I want to play, and I was actually able to see it and put it into words. And so I stole a lot of stuff from him. And so, we kind of play that style. It's a high pressing style, really try to overload in the box, attacking wise, overload defenders. And then when we're in possession, just be purposeful, control the tempo, control the rhythm. And then if we ever lose the ball, just be sharks and get after it and put numbers around the ball and just control those transitional moments. I think for me, that is one of our biggest things that we look to train is those transitional moments because I believe if we win, if we're really good in those transitional moments, we're going to have success. And if we're not, we're going to get beat on the counters, on set pieces and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that we're controlling those, and that's one of the biggest things that we train day in and day out. And then just how we are if we're fit, if we're a fit team, because in that first national championship run, we won most of those games after the 60th minute. And so he actually did a whole study, or Adam Sanchez did, about like how many box entries we had after the 60 minutes compared to the other team. And it was like triple. And he attributed it to how fit we were. And, we weren't gassed and we could just go, 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 go. So that's something I really try to model us after is, being fit. And so after that 60th minute, we can continue going and push for those final 30 to either get a winner or just close out a game.
Yeah, definitely important. Well, you've you got hired kind of mid-spring, so this past one was kind of your first full off season. Talk to me about what does that typical off season look like for you guys?
For this offseason, it was, when I got hired, we had 27 girls on the roster, which was nice because essentially those girls were the ones that we were going to go into the spring with, besides the freshmen that we were going to bring in. Whereas this year, we lost 15 players to graduation, which was a lot. So essentially, it cut our roster in half. And then we had a couple season-ending injuries that just weren't available for us in spring. So we had 18 players that dropped down to about 14 available to us. And so my biggest challenge this spring was to how can we keep these kids engaged without doing the same things over and over again. And for me, spring's all about the individual. How can we develop the individual and get them better so that when it comes to fall, when it's more about the team, they're ready to contribute. So we did Tuesday, Thursday were our soccer days. Tuesdays we did more individual stuff, more footwork, individual based, just getting better technically. And then Thursday we ran a futsal league. So we had four teams that we kind of was random, and then we just had a golden boot winner and a golden ball winner, and then the overall tournament champion, to kind of just keep them engaged and something to look forward to, something to play for. I think that was the biggest thing instead of just coming out here and just playing futsal. There was something behind it, something to kind of help them motivate. And then in April, in spring break, which was late March, we got outside and we kind of switched it to where it was more 3 days of soccer and still lifting throughout, still doing about 3 days of lifting. Um, but we were able to get two 2 days of matches. We hosted friendlies here with Dakota Wesleyan and Doane, which was really nice because we were able to go full 11v11, um, and get them out, and see them on an actual big pitch. And then we went to Northeast Community College up in Norfolk and did 9v9 games. So to be able to get out and actually play meaningful games was big, especially to kind of prep us going to this fall. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time and all the info. Going to ask you one last question, and that is if you had one piece of advice for any girl going through this college recruiting process right now, what would that be?
I would say just reach out. Um, no matter how big or small the college is, like we can only do so much to find you. So if you're really interested in a college, reach out to the coach, reach out to all the coaches, honestly, put them all on an email. Because I know for us, I may not necessarily look at an email, and then one of my assistants are like, "Hey, did you see this email from this one?" And I will go and look at it. And so just reaching out, being consistent with the communication. Like if you're really interested in that school, um, just make sure that you are being open to the communication. And at the end of the day, just make sure that it's a right fit. We always uh, tell our athletes like could you see yourself going to the school without soccer? And if you can do that, then it's a right fit because at the end of the day, soccer's finite. You only get so many years to play it, but you're there to get your education and your degree. And so make sure that it's a right fit for you academically, not just for soccer wise.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck this fall season. Hopefully you guys can be hanging that GPAC banner when it's all said and done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.